The LOTRO Black Friday sales are here, and I thought it would be interesting to check out what is worth it and what is not. So the sales for this year, 2023, are a bit mixed with some odd things as well as some good things and some not so great sales. Let's start off with the LOTRO Market, which is the website where you can purchase expansions for real money and it doesn't use any of the in-game currency. So for the LOTRO Market, we have 85% off Minas Morgul, 60% for the War of Three Peaks mini expansion, and 25% for the second to latest full expansion Gundabad. Importantly, this will last through November 27th, as well as the Black Friday LOTRO Store sales and double bonus points, but then there's an additional sale for 25% off of these things through November 30th, and then the weekly coupon code will last through the 30th. Dates aside, Minas Morgul is a couple expansions old at this point, and that one being 85% off, don't get me wrong, that's an insanely good deal if you don't actually have Minas Morgul and want some of the stuff, especially that comes in the Ultimate Fan Bundle for just $19.50. You can actually get a lot of great things, including a level 120 Valor level boost, some even Virtue XP, and all the other random things that kind of come with it that can be very valuable for that price if you do not have it. If you already have the Ultimate Fan Bundle, you can't actually get this. You would have to do it on essentially a new account, which isn't really worth it because all the stuff will be bound to that account. I will also remind you all at this point that if you are a VIP subscriber, Minas Morgul expansion is included with that, so all the content that you get from the $6 version would be included with VIP. That one is probably the lowest value even though it's the cheapest. Now for War of Three Peaks, this one is 60% off, and again this one is actually included in VIP. Now the benefits that you get are not quite as much as Minas Morgul, and with it only being 60% off, it's kind of hard for me to actually recommend really going ahead and getting the Ultimate Fan Bundle. But if you are not VIP and are interested in what comes with it, you might consider getting the base version for this reduced price, or even get the medium tier here for the large carry-all, but that's probably not worth it, as we'll get to. Those are on sale for the LOTRO Store, which would be way cheaper than this price. But if you are interested in the cosmetics and some of these other things, that's where I would really consider it at most. And now Fate of Gundabad is interesting because this is the second to newest LOTRO expansion, and it does include a lot of nice things if you get the Ultimate Fan Bundle, but the problem is it's only 25% off, and it's still hard to recommend this just based on that 25% off sale. Now this expansion is not yet included in VIP. It is in the LOTRO Store if you have LOTRO points and want to go that route though. But buying the expansion in the LOTRO Market will also include the Brawler class, just to point out. That's probably the most important thing there, but what I really find kind of interesting about this is, and just to be clear first, this is not confirmed or announced at all by any means by Standing Stone Games, but I suspect if they continue with their new monetization practices, I expect that Gundabad will actually be included with VIP come anniversary time next year, which would be around May 2024. Again, though, that's just based on expectations of their new monetization, and really, who knows? So not only is this one the lowest percentage off, but it's also overall the lowest value, I think, out of the expansion sales. Now, something else that I thought was a little bit odd is that there's no Before the Shadow. That's the latest mini expansion, includes a lot of low-level content for LOTRO, and there are some decent things in the more expensive bundles, but it's not included in any of these sales. I just found that to be a bit surprising considering all the expansion sales that they do have. And if you're curious, the new expansion that just launched a couple weeks ago, the Corsairs of Umbar, of course, that one is not included in any of the sales, and it's all the normal price. But as we move into the LOTRO Store sales, this is where we get into some more interesting things. So first is 75% off the Universal Toolkits. That's actually a really good percentage off. And if we go to the LOTRO Store here, we can actually see that the Enduring Universal Toolkit is 113 LOTRO points, and the base toolkit is 38 LOTRO points, which is quite cheap. Now you might be curious the difference between the two. Unfortunately, they don't actually say on the store and don't inform you on which one you might want to get. So the Universal Toolkit is the base one that gives you 20% crit chance with all of your crafting professions, but also minus 3 seconds on your gathering professions for how long it takes to harvest the nodes. And the Enduring Toolkit is one that gives 20% crit chance again, but the difference is the harvesting duration for the different nodes. So that will be minus 4.5 seconds, which is decently faster, 50% faster in fact. Now, if you're curious, this actually matches the toolkits that you could get from the different Gundabad versions, so that would include the teal Fateful kit as well as this Gundabad toolkit here. It will not, however, give the increased landscape currency from these toolkits, just to point out. It is also, say, kind of interesting timing that recently with the at least first phase of the crafting revamp that came with the Umbar expansion, they removed vocations from the game so you can actually choose which professions you want, and sometimes that means that the non-universal type toolkits, again like this Gundabad one that I have here on this character, they are based on the vocations, so those old ones that you had may not work with your new professions. Like if I had the old, I think it was called Yowman, that had woodworker, forester, and something like farmer that I never actually used, it would have only worked with those three and it wouldn't have worked with prospector. So it's kind of interesting timing with that, and I did just want to point out, if you're looking to take advantage of the new flexibility with crafting professions, it could really be worth considering the toolkit. Now personally, because I already have a lot of universal toolkits, I probably won't be upgrading to the enduring universal toolkits just for the price of 113 LOTRO points, but that's still a good deal. If you're just starting fresh and want something a little bit better, you could consider that price increase, again because it's a huge percentage off. I guess I should also point out that's really only useful if you do participate in crafting quite a bit. But next up here, we have carryalls, and as the absolute master of inventory management that I am very familiar with the uses of carryalls. So they are 50% off, which is a pretty decent sale for them. They are usually about 2,000 LOTRO points for the large carryalls in the LOTRO store. I'm not sure it's even worth getting any smaller options if they even have those. I guess they do have smaller options, but I honestly don't really find them to be worth it compared to the large versions, especially since at this point you're only saving like 350 LOTRO points by getting a small version when you could get a much bigger large version. Unfortunately, the LOTRO wiki has saved me some work from putting all this into a table, and it basically has cost per item slot in the different carryalls. So without the sale, the large crafting carryall is already almost 10 times more cost efficient than the small carryall. So personally, I will just say I would never actually purchase a smaller medium. Carryall is the short version of that, and if you are interested in being able to store more items in LOTRO and even have flexibility sending them to alts and the such, carryalls are extremely useful with the limited inventory space we have in LOTRO, at least relative to all the items that you really end up carrying around. You might see that this character's inventory is actually very clean for me, but that's in large part due to these carryalls that are carrying a lot of things. So I have an essence and task carryall there that's full. I have a task item carryall that's getting full. I have a die carryall that's actually holding a lot of things. And then the big ones here, the ones that I tend to recommend most if you do like gathering, crafting, and all that sort of stuff, are the crafting carryalls. This one's at 50 out of 50 spaces, and the other one's already at 27 out of 50 spaces. And this is after organizing this stuff and sending a lot of, say, junk type crafting stuff to my alt. So those are a huge space savers with 50 slots. So in short, it's really hard to stress how useful these are, and I think I'm actually going to be spending some of my LOTRO points on them at the end of this video. In my experience though, I will say the healer's carryall is probably not worth it because you can't actually use anything from within that carryall, and then the essence and tracery carryall can be decent if you just need to hold more stuff, but I find them to be a lot less useful as just something that has maybe more transportability and utility for inventory slots. Kind of similar with the die carryall, I would end up rather just storing those on a dedicated bank alt, but if you really need storage on them, that's when I'd also consider die carryall, similar to the essence and tracery, and probably similar with the housing decoration carryall as well. Instrument carryall might be a little bit different depending on your uses, but I don't really have much of a use for that, but that could also depend if you play instruments that much. Junk item carryall I also wouldn't get the most use out of because I just sell that stuff to a vendor pretty quickly because it is junk, but the task item carryall can be very useful to have, I would say, at least one of on a character, so you can transport it between alts to easily complete tasks and hoard your task items, but also while you're just questing and adventuring, it really saves a lot of spaces. And then again, the big one is the crafting carryall, which helps a ton if you are on an actual crafting character, as well as one that's just playing through new content. As they gather resources, they go straight to the carryall, and you can send them between alts, put them in your shared storage, and different things like that. Also, at this point, I'm actually surprised I'm getting so much content content out of this video, but it's basically my opportunity to share what I think about different things in the LOTRO store. And the reason I haven't done videos like this in the past is A, because I'm usually traveling, but also B, because I don't like telling people how to spend their money, but I'm basically explaining the general usefulness that I get out of different things. Anyway, tangent aside, we can go to the account-wide steeds. Those are 35% off, and typically I really like account-wide things. In the LOTRO store, I find most things that are character-specific, like the milestone skill, cooldown reduction, things like that, to not quite be as worth it as account-wide purchases in the LOTRO store. That can be a little bit different if you don't play alts and primarily play one or maybe even two characters, but I do like the account-wide part of this. But honestly, the only reason I would actually take advantage of that sale is if you want specifically the cosmetic of a particular steed in the LOTRO store. Otherwise, it's pretty much, yeah, just cosmetic and doesn't really do all that much for you because you can get mounts very easily in this game. Especially with how expensive these ones are, it wouldn't be worth it for me, is all I will say there. Double bonus points, I don't really have too much to comment on that, besides that I guess there are always bonus points, so they aren't really bonus points, but now you get double bonus points, which really just means you're getting bonus points now. It's really just a marketing ploy, but we'll set that aside to move on to the accelerating your adventure. So interestingly, you do get 25% off these different Valors, so these are level boosts. The 105 Valor is kind of okay, the 120 Valor is a little bit better, and the 130 Valor is pretty similar to the 120, maybe slightly less overall value relative to the level, but it really doesn't matter. Once again, the LOTRO wiki is here to save us because I can't actually see them on this character, but essentially with the Valor level boost, these are the non-reduced prices. Here's the 105 Valor boost. They're all actually 6,700 LOTRO points. So you're basically paying the same amount for these different level boosts. So you really have to decide what level you want to take your character. I assume for most people getting a Valor level boost, it would be 130. Now I will say for the Valor level boosts, I typically don't recommend those for new players because you're going to be thrown straight into high level LOTRO and be skipping a lot of content, which typically, at least for most people, they really enjoy the adventure and actually the leveling process in LOTRO, especially for your first character. You also might be risking yourself becoming way too uncomfortable with your class because you have a lot of different things that you maybe weren't quite aware of with that character. And I think the Warden here is actually a great one to give an example of that because you have all these gambits that you maybe would not be aware of at low levels, and it can be really hard to get into fresh. So I thought I'd just throw that note out there, but if you do have already a max level character, or maybe have a decently leveled character and want a higher one to maybe start like the Umbar expansion or something, just something like that, I think that's typically when it'd be better to consider a Valor boost, but again, that really depends on what you would want out of it. And the 25% off sale, at least the past while in LOTRO, is probably the best you'll get on that. I also do find it a bit odd that the level 140 Valor boost is not in this. It seems like it would be a great time for them to put that on sale and people get the 140 Valor boost for characters they want to take through the Umbar expansion, but that is kind of surprisingly not here. And alright, there's one more thing, which is Mithril coins. That's also 25% off, and Mithril coins are pretty much always worth it when they are on a 25% off sale if you use those. I know at this point I've actually hoarded up a lot of Mithril coins because I typically will buy some whenever they go on sale because I don't have much else that I spend my LOTRO points on. You see I have a ton of LOTRO points. Those are just stocked up for my 500 I get a month for being VIP. But the reason I don't spend my LOTRO points is at this point I have most of what I'd really want out of them. Like the Journeyman account-wide riding is by far the best thing I have bought, and I haven't really needed Mithril coins all that much lately. So even getting them right now 25% off is probably not worth it for me personally. But Mithril coins, of course, are great for fast traveling, as well as if you want to get a third slot here on your trait configurations. That will also save different virtue traits as well as class traits. You can even get a fourth one. It's really expensive, and I very rarely find it worth it because it's per character. I think it's actually a really terrible value, but it is one thing I will spend my Mithril coins on. And I at least personally think it's a lot easier to justify if you buy the Mithril coins, like the 250 bundle here for 1500 LOTRO points, as the most efficient option, and do that while they are on sale. Also, if you did not know, LOTRO has a weekly coupon code. You can always find them on these threads in the LOTRO forums, and I'm sure different Discord servers and even World Chat could probably help you with that. But for example, this one's free plus 5% hope boost. So you can actually copy that and then you go to the LOTRO Store, and then you do redeem code on the bottom left where my face just was, and we do Control V, and then we redeem it, and then we will have it on our character plus 5 hope. 90 minutes, we got one of those, and it's in our inventory. And now it is time for me to spend some of my long hoarded LOTRO points. I think with my general excitement for the crafting revamp, especially once it actually fully comes out and we see what there is in the Umbar tier, I'm still really excited for it and just generally gathering on a lot of different characters. So I think I'm going to go ahead and get me a couple of these large crafting carryalls. So we'll click that, we'll buy the item. It lets you do 2 at a time, which is kind of odd, but I got them here in my inventory. They're nice and empty and can hold 50 slots. And I'm also considering, I'm thinking I'll get another task item carryall. I know I mentioned earlier that I have one and I feel like that's enough, but it really is hard to beat this sale, and considering I have so many LOTRO points, it's just so hard for me to actually justify ever spending them, but I think I'll go ahead and do that just for some excitement in this video, and then maybe a couple more crafting carryalls, and that will be enough LOTRO points spent for me. We cannot go below 7,777, so we'll stay there safely, and hey, we got like 5 carryalls there for a total price of about 5,000 LOTRO points, which I realize is a lot of LOTRO points, but if you save them up from a VIP subscription, that's like 10 months time, and if you don't buy much in the LOTRO store, it won't take that long to get that back, and you also get LOTRO points in-game. Even if I've heard it's a lot less from the Umbar expansion content, you still can get quite a bit of LOTRO points just playing the game, questing, and leveling. Anyway, that is it for the sales, and if you are in the US, happy Thanksgiving, and if you found this video informative, please do let me know. I would consider doing these in the future when we have big sales. And if you did enjoy, don't forget to like and subscribe, or become a channel member to get early access and help fund my VIP, to get LOTRO points, to get things like the carryalls here. But anyway, thanks for watching, everyone.